joining us for our second Chef in the Market. We're featuring Executive Chef Michael Iles from 220 Restaurant. And our cooking demonstrations by Downtown Chico top chefs are celebrating height of the season items, ingredients from our local farmers as they educate and hopefully inspire our home cooks. So please help me welcome Michael tonight.
I got the opportunity to go to Mexico City last August, and I spent 10 days there eating. I ate 37 meals in 10 days. I tasted their ceviche there, and I want to make it for you guys tonight. So let's get to it. So we're going to do a little fine dice.
And what kind of knife are you using?
A chef's knife. It's
Okay.
a chef's knife.
Good.
So I take the onion, and basically the onion's a bunch of layers. So you'll see a lot of chefs cut this way into the onion, but I don't bother to do that because I think it's useless and it kind of makes the onion a little more slippery. So I'm just going to dice a nice fine dice.
So is that a dice as opposed to a minced?
That's a dice.
Okay.
That's a dice. And
Okay.
I'll do a mince with the jalapeno.
Okay.
So really this dish is so simple.
Does that mean anybody could do it?
Yes, anybody could, absolutely anybody could do it. Even children could do this if you let them play with sharp knives.
Can you tell us why and how you cut those when you do that?
So what I'm trying to do is make every single one of the dices all the same size. So what I do is I just look at it, flatten it out, cut sticks, and then cut squares. That's really what it's about. Different size sticks and different size squares. When you're cooking, the cutting part is almost as important as, or maybe even more important than the cooking part. Because if I get things all the same size, they're all gonna cook at the same amount of time and at the same temperature. If I have tiny little cubes and big giant cubes, they're never going to cook at the same time. And so half your dish will be overdone and half your dish will be underdone. So this dish is actually not cooked with heat. So this dish is cooked with acid. So basically what the cooking process is a binding of proteins. So when you look at a chicken breast or a piece of fish, it looks almost translucent. There are very short proteins that are in there that allow the eye to look through it as though it's translucent. When you either cook or change them with acid, you actually bind those proteins into long strips, and that's why you can't see, and the chicken looks white instead of the kind of opaque color it did before, is because those proteins are now bound, and when we look at it we see long strands. That's basically
How many
it.
people knew that? Somebody did. Beautiful. You did.
So again, the trick with chopping things is to take your time on the first cuts, and I cut pretty fast, but you can take your time. It really, there's no rush in doing something like this. Just stack up your sticks. You'll notice I don't lift the knife, keeping it on the table, making it much safer. The knife will if you work the knife, it will naturally work towards the center of your body. So just a straight up and down and let the knife take you. Okay, we're gonna do a little mince.
How many people cook with jalapenos? Okay. Quite a few. And so you're going to mince as
So I'm
opposed
going to
to...
mince this. So I got
Dice.
a fine dice on this, and I'm going to mince this much tighter. And it looks kind of dangerous, but actually the only part of the knife, so the knife is 99.95 not dangerous, right? You can rub your hand on here all day long. It's not going to hurt you. You may get a friction burn. But that little edge right there, that's the dangerous part. You rub your hand on that, you're going to the hospital. So whenever I cut, my knuckles are bent, and you can see that my finger is actually like more than a 1/4 inch of the way. And as long as you remember never to straighten out your finger, you end up with all your fingertips.
Nice.
And then really you don't have to look. You can cut without looking really, really finely because you know where your knife is, and it's never going to be close to my fingers, so I don't have to worry about it. And you can see what a super fine dice that makes.
Very. Wow.
Okay. Mango. Right? Everybody know how to cut a mango? Yeah? So there's a seed in the mango in the center, right? So there's a fat side and a thin side. The seed is positioned in the center right here. So the best way to cut these is just to go down the center, either side.
Can everybody see?
And then I do this, so I'll cut squares at the size that I want. This is a great way to eat it too. Just a little lime juice, and then you just flip it out.
Oh my gosh.
Right, so then I'll cut it in half, and I'll flatten my knife on it, and I'll get a great dice with no skin on it.
Because those can be tricky to cut up. So that's how you do it, huh?
So, a little chopped cilantro. Again, so everything except basil you can treat roughly. Basil, I take the individual leaves and I lay them out on top of each other. I don't roll them, I don't bruise them. But parsley, any of those, you can just, so what I did is I rolled it up in as tight a ball as I can, and then I'm gonna chop it real finely one time. And then it's finely chopped. So this would go in here. I marinated some beautiful ahi tuna and some chopped up shrimp in lime juice. I marinated the tuna about an hour ago, and I marinated the shrimp about 2.5 hours ago. So I want them to cook. I want them to be both cooked at the same time. And the shrimp are tighter and harder and take longer to cook. So I would just mix these two in here.
And where do you suggest buying fresh fish?
All of those purveyors are getting the fish from the same market. So you can look at price and quality. Quality's going to be the same because we live in the hinterland, and so we get our fish deliveries 3 days a week. The fish market's getting them probably 2 days a week, and so we yes, the hinterland.
Hinterland. Okay.
Okay, so that's the dish. You basically stir it up, and this is what it looks like finished.
Yeah.
Show some people. It has a really wonderful smell. Nice and cool.
Got no regard for the thing that you don't understand. You got no fear of the underdog. That's why